today, in addition to challenging the certification of the election, I'm calling on Congress and the state legislatures to quickly pass sweeping election reforms, and you better do it before we have no country left.
Yesterday, in my view, one of the darkest days in the history of our nation. An unprecedented assault on our democracy. An assault literally on the citadel of liberty in the United States Capitol itself. An assault on the rule of law. An assault on the most sacred of American undertakings, ratifying the will of the people in choosing the leadership of their government.
A recipe for revolt because you weren't happy with the results. You chose to alter the polls and cull all the riled up bulls and send them out into the fold, red in their skulls. Look at the damage that you sold as a righteous form of free word, because that is pure gold. A joke that had gotten old, yet it became the mold for a scold on our very law. People broke windows and others had crawled, trying to escape the open maw of an angry mob that went without pause, fighting for an awful cause, many of them now behind bars, while you stayed and called them stars, who stole and broke just because. There was so much chaos, but at least someone grabbed the claws before everything got ripped up in their claws, doing whatever you want in the spree. Waving flags of red, white, and ebony, the chaos, the sickness, and then the remedy to what is essentially a siege on our already hurting democracy and a mockery of sovereignty, because there are those who can't agree on what can clearly be seen, red, white, and ebony. Displaying words that ought to not be preached, and how easily the barriers were breached with forces that could not do a lot, outnumbered and distraught, but still stood to defend the trot, which soon grew covered with spots. In the ground still smoking hot, and over 5 people and counting were shot, because of his reluctance to not stop this pursuit of fraud, leading to a disastrous plot to halt what was already taught and drawn from the very start. That'll be some kind of legacy. Waving flags of red, white, and ebony, the chaos, the sickness, and then the remedy to what is essentially a siege on our already hurting democracy and a mockery of sovereignty, because there are those who can't agree on what can clearly be seen, red, white, and ebony. An opener and a real travesty to a year already full of tragedy. And honestly, this is just a petty example of how people already with the crown lying heavy are not ready to give it to the many who had voted him out not once but twice. But power doesn't have longevity, and this'll serve as a reminder of the price. When people buy into the lies, when someone isn't satisfied, and the horrors will still ring out in the night. Of the lives that were lost in this fight for something that they thought was right or participated in, because they wanted to alight a fire in a country begging for its life. And while we tread across the edge of the knife, many more continue to die. But when we finally draw the line, and his folly will be confined from this man being asinine. I mean, what was he thinking mentally? Waving flags of red, white, and ebony, the chaos, the sickness, and then the remedy to what is essentially a siege on our already hurting democracy and a mockery of sovereignty, because there are those who can't agree on what can clearly be seen, red, white, and ebony. Your false claims of fallacy has caused felonies and fatalities of such vast intensity, yet the man slaves breathlessly on a messily formed melody of jealousy and hypocrisy, displaying red, white, and ebony, but of course preferably behind a wall of weaponry, while your heresy about this elegy was made desperately and not credibly, so that fallacy will stay a memory of red, white, and ebony. Red, white, and ebony, of red, white, and ebony.